alaikum and welcome to Titli's Busy Kitchen with me, Titli Nihan. Now, depending upon who you are and where you've been, the word turkey will either make you think of Thanksgiving or it'll make you think about wonderful historic cities, fabulous kebabs and Turkish Delight. Many modern recipes for Turkish Delight use gelatin as a setting agent, which is fine if you're not vegetarian. I much prefer the traditional method. So I've got 4 cups or 800 grams of sugar, 1 cup or 120 grams of corn flour, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice or lime juice, 1 tablespoon of rose water. You can use other flavourings too, but rose water is the one I like. And a teaspoon of cream of tartar. This is really important because it stops everything crystallising, so please don't leave this out. In this pan I've got 1.5 cups or 375 ml of water. I'll add in the lemon juice and the sugar. Now turn on the heat and bring this to the boil with stirring. Once it comes to the boil, keep boiling and keep stirring. What we're going to do is use a candy thermometer and get the temperature up to 115 degrees centigrade. Hum, hum, hum. Patience is required for this. Hum, 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 hum. Well, according to my thermometer, I'm now up to 115 degrees, which is the soft boil stage for sugar. So I'll just turn off the heat. Over here I'm heating 2 cups of water in a large pan. I'll add in the cream of tartar and the corn flour. Now you need to get the lumps out of this, so you can either beat it by hand or get your electric toys out. So here we go. However you choose to do this, you do need to keep beating it while you bring it to the boil. As you can see, it's starting to go all gloopy, particularly around the edges. And it's turning into a gluey paste. Isn't chemistry wonderful? Right, I think I'm going to stop there and turn the heat off. So now I'm going to very carefully and slowly add in the sugar syrup. Give it a bit of a whisk. Add in a bit more sugar syrup and whisk. And keep adding the syrup a bit at a time and whisking after each addition till it's smooth. When you've added all the syrup in, you end up with quite a fluid but quite thick mixture. Just scrape the sides down with a spatula. Now pop the heat back on and bring it to a gentle boil while stirring. Once it comes to the boil, we're going to turn the heat right down and leave this to simmer very, very gently for about an hour. Do remember to stir it quite frequently. After an hour it's this amazing colour, so I'll just turn the heat off and then carefully pour in the rose water. Then add a couple of drops of pink or red food colouring and mix that in. When it's all nicely mixed, I think we're ready to pour. Here I've got an 8-inch square tin. It's quite deep. I've oiled the inside, then lined it with baking paper, and I've oiled the baking paper. Now I'll just pour in the gloop. Gloop! And shake it to make sure it goes in all the corners. Now we're going to leave this to cool completely. About 5 hours have passed and the Turkish Delight is slightly tacky, I think is the best description. So before I do anything else, I'm going to sort out the icing, sugar and corn flour. To dust the Turkish Delight and stop it all sticking together, I've got 1 cup or 160 grams of icing sugar and 1/4 cup or 30 grams of corn flour. Sift in the icing sugar and the cornflour into a large bowl. This is just to break up any lumps that there might be in the icing sugar or cornflour. That's nice. Now sieve some icing sugar onto the Turkish Delight. This will help it stop being sticky when we deal with it. Okay, now sprinkle a surface with a good amount of icing sugar. Then take your Turkish Delight and turn it out upside down onto the icing sugar surface. Take off the paper. With a bit of care and patience, the paper will peel off. There we are, got this nice blob of sticky jelly. I'm going to smother it in icing sugar again. Right, now comes the slightly tricky bit because I'm going to cut this into squares and I'm actually going to use a pizza roller. Don't make the squares too big. Just slide it through. So now I've got my squares cut, I'm going to pick them off one at a time and throw them into the cornflour icing sugar mixture. Every so often, toss the pieces in the mixture, then keep adding lumps of fresh Turkish Delight. When you've broken up all the pieces and put them in the flour mixture, give it all a really good dousing. Mix it really well. And that's it, your Turkish Delight is ready. To a small piece. Oh, that's so good. Turkish Delight, a real Turkish delight. Now let's have a quick word about storage. The best way to store this is to put the Turkish Delight in a box and then add on all the cornflour and icing sugar. Give it a shake, pop on a lid, and you're done. This keeps the Turkish Delight nice and fresh and stops it from sweating. The modern gelatin recipes may be quick, but in terms of texture, you cannot beat the traditional recipe. Join me next time in Titli's Busy Kitchen with me, Titli. Until next time, Hafiz.